do you feed a dead cat on Christmas Eve? So, I'd known about this for a couple of weeks, and I was thinking about what story I wanted to tell, and I came this close to 3 words for you: quitting Cheetos. But then I said, no, that's not going to work. So anyway, my story's about quitting. And I started thinking about the word quitting, and it becomes kind of one of these really polarizing words, right? If you quit the band, or you quit the football team, or you quit school, those are bad things, right? We don't want our kids doing those sort of things. But if you quit sniffing glue, or you quit beating your spouse, those are great things.
I like them. Me too.
Right? So, my story is about quitting, and the one time that I almost came close to quitting. Now, I'm going to go back in time to about 1979, 1980. Now, it's a little fuzzy for me, but because I was young, and I was probably 7 or 8 years old, and my parents had recently divorced. And my mom moved us into this little cabin, probably 500 or 600 square feet. Man, you couldn't even close the door when you were sitting on the toilet, right? That's how small it was. It's just me and my mom. We're in this little cabin, and it's part of this kind of resort / countryside motel sort of thing, And we're living down below in this seasonal cabin, and they have, up on top of the hill, they have weekly cabins and daily night rentals or whatever. Again, me and my dad, just me and my mom, and my dad is not really in the picture because, well, got divorced. And then my stepdad, who was kind of emerging, he's kind of a boob, he just really wasn't that. So I didn't really have a lot of great male role models, except for the owners of the motel, right? And this couple that owned the motel there, Gene and Linda. Now, Gene let me tell you a little bit about Gene. He's probably about my age at that time. He's probably 42, 43, somewhere in there. Tall, handsome, big chiseled chin. Kind of John Wayne with dark hair, right? And he always had Marlboros. He was a blue-collar guy. He worked for the city street department. And then after that, at night he'd come back and he'd be doing whatever you do at a hotel, right? I don't know, you flip beds or something like that. But a couple years later, I decided that, hey, I need to make some money. I got to buy some, I don't know, bubble gum, some Cheetos. I don't know. So I went up to Gino one day and I knocked on the door and I said, Gino, hey, you got any jobs around here? Could I make some money? He's like, yeah, absolutely. Now, mind you, I've known Gino probably for 2 years at this point, and Gino had always been this guy that whatever he said, he was always pretty much laughing about everything. But I could tell by the tenor in his voice, he was very serious about this. This is a big damn deal to him. To see this little guy come up to him and want to make some money. So he says, yeah. And I noticed the change in his voice. He took me out to the shed and he loaned me his tools. Wheelbarrow, push broom, transfer shovel. And he told me about these things. This is a big deal. And I said, and he gave me instructions about what he wanted done. He had this driveway that came through the resort area. It's probably, 300 yards long, wide enough for a car. And he says, I want all the gravel swept up. And I said, you got it. So that first day, that next morning, I went out there. It's dark 30, out sweep. And I didn't get very far, but I got far enough. Second day, I went out there. I didn't get as far as the first day. Third day, I was counting the blisters. My back hurt, my feet hurt. I was mad as hell. Oh, this is bullshit. I took that wheelbarrow back and I slammed it up against the wall and I went up to Gino and I said, I think I'm done with this. Can I have my money now? Wise guy, Gino he's like, no way. And nobody had told me no before. I'm a kid. Who the hell tells a kid no? And he says, you didn't finish the job, but I don't pay for half-complete jobs. That's not what he actually said. It's half-assed jobs. But anyway. And so I stared wide-eyed at him and thinking, I'm not getting paid, I'm not getting any Cheetos, what the hell? He says, you got one of two options. He goes, you can go back and finish the job, or you can go home and never come back. Never ask me for a job again. Well, I got the message. So I grabbed that thing and went back to my house and had dinner with my mom, and the next morning I went back at that thing. And I went back and went back and went back. And I don't know, maybe 4 or 5 days, I finally got the damn job done. Took the machine, all the tools back, put them away, and Gino paid me. Now, I don't know what he paid me, but it wasn't disagreeable to me, right? Got some Cheetos after all. I learned a really good lesson there as a kid. Don't quit, right? Don't quit on a job. Don't quit half-assed. And I've learned that for the rest of my life. It was a great lesson, and it wasn't even taught to me by my dad or my grandfather or anybody else. It was just a guy I knew. Now, come all the way back. I've been here in this area now for about 6 weeks. And for the last 3 of the last 4 weeks, I've actually been reconnecting with Gene and Linda. And they're retired now. They sold the resort. They're living down by Detroit Lakes, and they've got a nice Rambler. But age has affected him. And Gino's not the chiseled, handsome man that he was, you know. He's a little more gray, a little more shaky. So, you know, he's a little more frail. But you know what? They don't have a computer. And they've been talking about computers. They want to get on the internet. They want to see pictures for their grandkids. And I said, I'm the guy who can help you get there. So I brought some computers down there, brought an iPad, and just yesterday, I was thinking about this thing that Gino did once. I remember I told you about Gino. He said, great, he paid me. You know what he did after that? Blew my mind. He said, you know what? There's this little fish cleaning shack there, painted all white. I was thinking about painting something on that because I wanted it to be attractive. Because I want you to come down and help me pick out something to paint on that wall. I didn't know Gino could paint. I didn't know he could do anything other than just drive the streetwear, and change beds. So I sat down with Gino, and mind you, I'm 10 years old, I'm sitting in the grass, and there's this big blank wall. And Gino says, what are you going to paint? I said, Gino, let's paint a bass. Fish. I'm like, right. He goes, good. So he outlines this bass, paints this beautiful, beautiful bass. And he kept asking me questions like, is this blue? Is this green? Is that yellow? I'm like, is this a trick question? I didn't realize Gino was colorblind. Couldn't see any colors. But he painted this beautiful fish. And I asked him to put this little fly out there on a line. I said, can you do that for me? He's like, yeah, he did it. Now, yesterday, I'm sitting there with Gino, and I had this epiphany, I don't know, a couple nights ago, and I thought, holy hell, there's this application on an iPad that you can do like watercolors and sketching and all that stuff. I said, Gino, I showed it to him. Gino, you can paint again. You can watercolor. You can etch things. You can paint a bass. I said, no, can't do that. Too shaky. Can't do that. I said, Gino, don't give me that shit. Don't quit. Do not quit on me. I know you can paint. He took that iPad and he quick sketched something. And it was just an outline of a horse. And then he took the little paintbrush for color, watercolor, and he colored in the horse some sort of chestnut brown. And he gave it back to me. And I'll tell you what, that's a treasure right there. I'll tell you what, that's the magic when it happens when you don't